Tell us your name, please.
My name is Joan Moyer.
And how long have you been a member of the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club?
I joined the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club in 1980.
So what made you join the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club?
I enjoy being in the outdoors. I did camping as a youngster, and now my children were grown, so I wanted to get outdoors more, and so I saw the advertisement in the paper for the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club, and I joined.
Wow. So what are some of your roles that you did in the past, and what are your current positions in the club right now?
Okay, my first position was president in 1985, and I was the first female president. While I was president, our treasurer died, so I ended up also doing the treasurer job for a couple months. I was then at some point vice president, some point I was secretary. I served on the education committee. I'm a trail maintainer, and then I was president again for a second and third time.
So what do you love about the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club?
My main interest is doing trail maintenance. I'm not a backpacker. I like to walk, but I'm not into being on the trail overnight, so I like the maintenance part, and I also love the Arboretum and helping with maintaining that.
That's good. So we're doing a section on trail tales for our website, and what we're asking everybody is like, what trail tale would you like to share about the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club? What kind of experience have you had any trail tales on?
Well, probably my most interesting one was the first section of trail that I did. Catherine Shade and I did that section from Tri-County Corner over to the Saunders Farm Trail, Blue Blaze, and 3 different times we were up there we ran into the naked hiker, so that was probably my most interesting and eye-opening experience.
That's interesting, because somebody else mentioned that too. We'll find out later on who that was.
Catherine.
But anyways, let's see here. We're asking everybody, what would you like for people to know about your legacy, about what you did in the Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club?
Wow, that's something to really think about. That I tried my best, and I tried to give it my all, and I really cared about getting out there and seeing that the trail was cleaned up. And I guess that's, I just give everything I can.
And maybe how about being president too, and sometimes you can't satisfy everybody, right?
That's true. There are ups and downs in life, but there's also ups and downs being club president or just being a club member.
Yep.
Not everybody thinks alike.
That's right. And we're asking people is like, what is your favorite place on the Appalachian Trail and why?
My favorite place is the section of trail that I first maintained, which I just talked about. And that was always dear to me because of the different terrain on that section of the trail. There was some that was very level and just grass and trees, and then there was a section with a lot of rocks. It was steep going up and down to the trail, but it's my favorite part because that's the first section that I spent a lot of time on.
Wow. Have you ever had any hiking experience at all with when you were a kid, hiking on the Appalachian Trail? How did you maybe find out about the Appalachian Trail?
No, I never knew anything about the Appalachian Trail. When I joined the club, I had to spend a lot of time going to everything I could to find out about the Appalachian Trail because it was totally new to me. Hiking I did was in Bern Township as a youngster, did some early morning hikes, but I never knew anything about the Appalachian Trail before 1980.
Wow. So what kind of good information is out there actually that you read that you would say that maybe explains a little bit more about the Appalachian Trail?
As far as literature, well, I think some of our own history helps to understand. Spent a little bit of time down at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy's archives and did some reading there. I think Rita, our club member's book, is a good book. I saw the Bill Bryson movie and read that book, which is kind of distorted, but gives you some clues for the trail.
So that book is called, what is that called?
I think it's isn't it a walk in the woods?
Yeah, there's also a movie about it too, back in 2015 actually.
Right.
Which is not, I guess in some aspects, what failed them most is that they did it for a hike and not for enjoyed it. They basically went to Virginia and basically they gave up.
Yeah. They really didn't have any main understanding.
No.
And I just read on the Appalachian Trail Conservancy site yesterday about the large number of hikers that drop out after they start on the trail because they don't realize, how much is involved in doing it.
It's a lot of physical and mental, isn't it?
Right.
And have you met any through hikers at all when you were out doing trail maintenance?
Yeah, when we do the trail, I don't remember up on the first section of trail, but in Port Clinton now, we do usually see hikers come through there and try to spend a little time talking to them about their trip.
Yep. Have you met any fascinating people from anywhere in the world that kind of fascinated you, that the reason that they were hiking on the Appalachian Trail?
I didn't meet a through hiker, but when the one year Catherine and I went to the Appalachian Trail conference, we helped with the work trip on Bear Mountain, and there was a man here from Australia, and he worked on with the work crew every day, and we got to spend some time with him at a meal, and I found him very interesting.
Wow. Is there anything else you'd like to add at all, or?
I don't know. I just can say that I'm proud of things that were accomplished during some of my presidencies, and that was Dave Crosby building, or I should say the leader in having the Eagle's Nest shelter and then the William Penn shelter built. He gave a lot to that and maintaining of the privies, and the major cleanup we had of the dump site in Port Clinton, and cleaned that up with people from all over the state.
Wow. Was there a lot of trash basically dumped?
Oh, it was terrible. It was, that whole hillside was totally covered with trash. So we spent a lot of time cleaning that up, and with the help, as I said, from people from other trail clubs as well as Blue Mountain.
Wow. Was that back in the 80s when that happened?
You know what, that's something I was thinking about this morning. I couldn't remember if that was my first presidency or if it was in the 90s. I would have to look that date up, but it
Wow.
was either the end of the 80s or the beginning of the 90s. But
Wow.
when the National Park Service bought that area, and we needed to clean it up.
Wow. And what area was that in Port Clinton actually?
Right when you come in, that first road that you can come into Port Clinton, and you turn left at where the gate is.
Yes.
Along the river, that hillside that goes up to 61, that was totally, people just from 61 dumped.
Wow.
Yeah, so
All their
there's
trash.
a lot.
So the main principle to that is basically about what the ATC always talks about is leave no
trace
behind, right?
Right.
And I mean, is that something you hope hikers in the future, even day hikers, that would kind of still continue on that legacy of leave no trace behind, because,
I would hope that they would really work on it, and I think it's something we need to keep reinforcing, because sometimes now when we clean our section on the AT and Port Clinton, we can sometimes have 2 bags of trash, and other times we can have 5 bags of trash. And sometimes it's along the river, and I don't know if that's fishermen, so I can't always, because that's easy access. People walk their dogs through there, so you don't know who's responsible. But up on the road, when you're crossing the road up off of 61, that's crossing over the trail going north. I think that's Port Clinton Road or Mountain Road. There's a lot of trash sometimes there, because again, that's easy access, but that's been blocked off by big rocks now so that people can't park up there. But we do see trash up there too.
wow. So, when you were president of the club, right, what was some maybe good highlights that you would kind of thinking back when you became a president, besides becoming the first woman president? Is there any other highlights at all that you want to share?
You know what? I would say that there's been a lot of changes since I first became president, because when I became president, Dick Kimmel was assigned to the job of seeing that we carried out Robert's rules. So they are very we have to follow every single Robert's rules, and he sat by my side so to make sure so that's interesting that, we aren't as, like, what should I say, stiff in following and having somebody make sure everything's Robert's rules, but we still do follow the guidelines for Robert's rules. Probably we did a lot more group activities on the schedule, like I ran 2 bus trips to Frost Valley for cross-country skiing. When we had a snow around here, a group of us would call each other and go over to Nolde Forest and cross-country ski. So we did things on the spur of the moment. To 2 breakfast hikes, and that was an interesting experience. One of them, I started out over at the rehab on Route 10, and I got permission from the person in charge at the rehab center that we could park there on Sunday morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then do the hike, and then we had breakfast. Leonard Reed cooked breakfast down at Angelica Park. Well, when everybody arrived, the security people at the rehab were not notified that we were coming, and so they called the police. So we were greeted by the Reading police, and then I had to explain that we had permission to park there to do our hike, but that was like a shockaroo when you get there, and then the police greet you, like, what are you doing on this lot?
Wow.
At 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning, wow.
And then we did our hike and had breakfast, and we did the second breakfast hike up on Mount Penn, and then Leonard cooked breakfast again for us.
Wow.
So that was interesting. We did some interesting things.
What would you say now that's pretty interesting in the club, actually, of what you're currently going on, or maybe in the future that you would like to see maybe in a club?
I would say I would like to see the new members become better acquainted with what the club's all about, and try to hook them up with their interests so they become involved, because we need leadership. I would say, I think it's good that we have people that are still very committed to being trail maintainers, to giving of a lot of their time to go out and see that the trail's up to par. I think it's helpful for the AT Conservancy having the leadership conferences to try to introduce people in clubs about what they're all about and how we should be working together.
So is there anything else you'd like to add at all, or?
No, I
So-
want to thank you for doing this, and I'm glad you have the opportunity to be an intern for us.
Me too, I really
It's
love,
something that we might be doing in the future.
I think so too, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.